did win the fight. They didn't win the match, though. The league champions still pose the biggest threat to St Helens' ambitions. Mind you, if Yorkshire hopes to provide a team to counter the North West domination, it just could be Bradford Northern. Hodsall Stadium is an inhospitable place even for Bradford themselves, but with Derek Fox and Roy Powell directing the traffic and flying wingers like Tony Anderson around, the White Rose challenge could come from this unlikely source. Northern second in the table, desperate to stop Saints' run today. Big crowds are flocking down to Knowsley Road to see the league leaders. Let's take a check on the St Helens side they'll be watching today. Alan Hunt reverts to the role he started off in this season at fullback. Les Quirk's on the wing, Mike Riley has hamstring trouble, Jared McCracken, the powerful Kiwi, is in the centre, and it's an all-New Zealand combination there for Saints, as Tia Rapati is in 4. Anthony Sullivan is in 5, he scored twice in matches on Sky this season. Jonathan Griffiths is the stand-off half, former Llanelli half-back, been at Saints now for 3 years. Gus O'Donnell, the £80,000 buy from Wigan, is fit again, he takes his place at scrum half, and there's been a touch of flu in the camp. Up front, the tall Jonathan Neal returns after a 5-match absence, though. Bernard Dwyer was unlucky to miss out on World Cup selection. He was non-playing reserve. Kevin Ward was at Wembley. At 35, he's enjoying another wonderful season. Second row is John Harrison. Chris Joint has the flu. He cried off this morning. And Paul Forber scored his 50th try for St Helens in the midweek win over Huddersfield. The captain at loose forward is Shane Cooper. He's yet to miss a match. And the coach is New Zealander Mike McLennan in his final season at Knowsley Road. But if he fashions a championship-winning team, I wonder if he'll be tempted to stay. Bradford Northern's player coach is David Hobbs, helping Peter Fox produce a side that could well challenge the big boys from the northwest of England. This is the Bradford Northern team. Fullback is David Watson. Making his debut, he spent 3 months out of the game, banned for using cannabis. Now he's cleared to play. Welshman Gerald Caudle's on the wing. His sights are fixed on a place in the Welsh side to play England next month. Steve McGowan is a tall, long-striding centre, one of the club's longest-serving players. Alongside him is the Kiwi Darryl Shelford, tries in his last 2 matches. Australian Tony Anderson is in 5, formerly with Halifax. He scored a try for them in the 1988 Challenge Cup final. Standoff is Neil Summers, who has successfully switched from scrum half since the arrival of Derek Fox, the club's record £140,000 buy from Featherstone Rovers. He regained his international place at Wembley. Up front, David Hobbs is ever present in the pack. He's 34 but still going strong. Brian Noble's preferred at hooker today to new signing Trevor Clark. John Hamer wears 10. He's an underrated prop forward in great form. The second row sees ex-Leeds man Roy Powell on a try-scoring run, 4 in his last 3 games. Carl Furbank was the only Bradford player to win selection for the Lions tour last summer. He's in the second row. And the lineup is completed by David Heron, who's enjoying a new lease of life after 16 years at Headingley with Leeds. And the Northern coach, determined to prove those wrong who might think he's a spent force, it's Peter Fox, of course. Good crowd come in here to Knowsley Road today. It's the battle of the top 2 in the big league. It's St Helens against Bradford Northern. The whole of the match coming up for you next. Jonathan Griffiths playing at standoff half today for St Helens, and Gus O'Donnell is back in the side at half-back. So it's a fairly new combination for St Helens at half-back. But Derek Fox, well, he is in a rich vein of form. He won a recall to the Great Britain scene for the World Cup final at Wembley, and he thoroughly deserved it. Substitutes for St Helens, Phil Vivers and Sonny Nicol. And for Bradford Northern, it's Trevor Clark and Paul Medley. An impressive stadium, this, Knowsley Road, and St Helens, just to recap on their lineup, a bit of flu in the forwards, Neil, Dwyer, Ward, Harrison, Forber and Cooper. That combination was only just decided before the kick-off here today. And there is Paul Forber, who was originally down to come into this match as a substitute, but now on from the start because Chris Joint and company have got a touch of flu. Bradford Northern, well, the interesting selection there is David Watson at full-back. He has been out of the game, of course, for the last 3 months on the drugs charge. And his last appearance in the full-back role was against Bradford Northern in the Challenge Cup last season. Referee is Robin Whitfield. He hasn't had to travel far to get here to St Helens. Lives just up the road at Widnes. He is the referee of the year 1991-92. So it's the top two then in the Stones Bidder Championship who come face to face today at Knowsley Road. The very best of the domestic competition for you here on Sky tonight, and Tia Rapati gets the game underway. Referee Robin Whitfield says that's a big mistake straight away from David Watson.
Well, it's been a while since Watson has been on the paddock, and it showed there. Plenty of nerves. The crowd loved that one. He certainly didn't.
First touch for 3 months, Mike. Not terribly good.
I'm sure he'll improve on that one. He's a talented player.
A buzz goes round the ground every time Alan Hunt gets the ball in his arms. Hunt's having a marvellous season. Called into the Great Britain team for the World Cup final last week as a winger. Back at full-back, though, here today for St Helens. This is John Harrison, second row forward. Dwyer is the dummy half. Next to go on the blind side, Jonathan Neal. Only just recovered from kidney problems, back after a 5-match absence. And Kevin Ward.
Eddie, I think we'll see a big game from Alan Hunt. I think it's his best position to be in at the number 1 spot. And it looks as though Kevin Ward has been... Yes, the ball was dragged away. The referee Robin Whitfield very quick to look towards his touch judge to ask for the assistance, and this should be an easy 2 points.
It's Bernard Dwyer who will continue the goal kicking here at St Helens. 21 goals this season. A couple of tries as well. Non-playing reserve for his country last week at Wembley. But he has a 100% appearance record here at St Helens. Dwyer then with the opportunity to get St Helens underway fairly early. But he misses. Won't be happy with that. But there's a bit of a breeze blowing in Dwyer's face as he shaped to take that kick. And maybe it just pulled the ball away to the wrong side of the posts. 0-0.
That was a bad miss there by St Helens. Dwyer should have taken that. Not in a difficult position.
This is Anthony Sullivan. High tackle. The sort of tackle that Dennis Hale didn't penalise on Friday night.
There's no doubt about it. John Hamer is the man, the culprit. Hobbs goes low, Hamer goes high. The rules state you're not allowed to do that. Penalty.
Griffiths with the penalty deposits the ball onto the roof of the main stand. St Helens will restart then. Jonathan Neal. John Harrison. Headband and headband too for Bernard Dwyer and for Kevin Ward. Hunt has chimed in support.
Came in too early there, did Hunt. It was a planned move.
Griffiths and Forber. Still going Forber. St Helens inching towards that Bradford Northern line. Dwyer again switching it this way to Griffiths. He finds Jarrett McCracken. That's the last one in this set of 6, and Saints in the danger zone. Cooper with a drop goal attempt. It was charged down, and the referee says knock on is the decision.
Well, Cooper never really gave him enough room there. You could see that David Hobbs was moving into him very quickly. He should have stood further back than that.
So after 6 tackles, it's simply the turnover, and Bradford in possession, and they'll want to get through this set of 6 to settle the nerves down.
Yes, they'll use their forwards, but Peter Foot... Oh, and that's well played there. The ball was on the ground, you'll see here. And it's a big prop forward, Jonathan Neal, that gets it. Well played.
And here comes Forber on a run. It had to be a good tackle from David Heron, and it was. Cooper now, and McCracken, but he drops it. And Tony Anderson scoops up the pieces for Bradford Northern.
Well, McCracken there was looking for Daniel Shelford, who was coming in very quick. The ball was being offered to him as he came on the inside. Few mistakes.
Summers trying to scramble his way away from the danger zone. Now it's with Roy Powell. Noble finds Derek Fox. What a good signing Fox has turned out to be. And David Heron's attempted pass inside came off for St. Helens' arm, so it's 6 to go.
Well, I'm surprised that Heron tried to keep that ball alive.
Hobbs. Penalty. Head high, and the challenge round the back of the neck, according to Robin Whitfield.
Well, Kevin Ward is the man deemed the culprit. You can't really see it, but the referee saying that Ward must have been grabbing at the hair or something like that. Nonetheless, it's a penalty to Bradford.
5 minutes of this match gone, 0-0. The nearest we've come to a score, that Bernard Dwyer penalty that he pushed wide of the posts. This is Noble and now Fox. Furbank on the run. Hobbs is there in support. Keeps the ball alive well, does Hobbs, and so does Furbank.
This is one of their major advantages, Bradford Northern. They do support each other in the forwards.
Heron, long pass to McGowan. Play over there in the sunshine on that far side. It's been a lovely autumn day here at St. Helens. Sun's been streaming down from first thing this morning. Lovely chip over the top from Fox. Will it run dead? Alan Hunt confident it will, and it does.
Just a little bit too long there by Derek Fox, but the idea was there. He realizes there's no point in kicking this ball right down the throat of Alan Hunt. Fox and his players at Bradford realize that Hunt is a spectacular player if you're giving him time.
Dwyer's the dummy half, and a high tackle coming in on the big St. Helens forward.
Well, it's Fairbank. You can see it quite clearly there. Oh, it's a quick tap.
Cooper taking the quick tap. He finds Rapati inside to Sullivan. Good smothered defence though from Bradford. They swarmed round St. Helens down that far touchline then. This is Cooper, now Forber. Players untangle themselves. O'Donnell, Ward. Game has yet to really catch fire. The meeting here of the top two in the First Division. Saints 100%. Bradford just behind them, but Bradford have played one game more, so it's vital for Northern they get something from this match here today. That's the last tackle. O'Donnell will hoist the midfield bomb, cross field, tester for Caudle as it drops out of the sun. The Welshman was up to it though, and two Welshmen collide there, Sullivan and Caudle.
Oh, he took that well, Caudle. Eyes on the ball at all time. Very difficult kick there. They realised it did St. Helens, pushed it high so that he could look into the sun.
Eric Fox spreads the ball to Roy Powell, wrapped up by Cooper, but high again.
Well, Cooper certainly went onto the shoulder, but he slid across onto the head, and anything that touches it, English referees at least will penalise them.
Derek Fox, £140,000, the club record buy for Bradford Northern, doing so much to push Northern's championship ambitions forward. I was going to mention that interpretation by the referees, Mike. We saw Dennis Hale in that World Club Championship on Friday let anything go above the shoulders, but in the domestic game in Great Britain, the referees are told strictly to penalise.
Yes, I'm sure that not only myself, but a few fans throughout the rugby league world were quite happy when the New Zealander boarded the plane.
Fox and Heron. Quick hands from Heron, finds Furbank, he gets it to Watson. David Watson, he's an elusive character, and he just tried to keep the ball alive, but a knock-on is the decision.
And he realises he's made the mistake. Good run by Watson, but he really should have gone to ground for this. Brian Noble was calling for the support ball, but it wasn't on. They must respect this possession. I just get the impression, Eddie, in the first opening minutes that Both these packs are going to really get into each other.
Cooper comes away with the possession from the base of the scrum. Watched all the way by Heron. David Heron, 16 years at Headingley before moving up the road. There he is in the tackling again, 13 in the Bradford Northern jersey. I must say I'm impressed by the colours of Bradford Northern. They look like a pack of busy bees, don't they, in these colours?
Well, it's that old colours that they used many, many years ago. Nice to see a little bit of tradition coming back into our game.
Ball went to ground. It was a loose ball, and Brian Noble was the man onto it first. Quick thinking by the hooker.
Quick thinking, but wasn't that a knock-on?
Not according to Robin Whitfield. 0-0, 10 minutes of this match gone. Fox and Fairbank. Such strength from Fairbank. That's great play. Heron, he's got McGowan. McGowan for Bradford. Steve McGowan. It's his third try of the season. One of the longest serving players on the Bradford staff. What a start.
Stones Bit of Championship replay will see the big rugged second row from Bradford, Carl Fairbank, bounce off the would-be tackle from Ward. He tries the second time, but the loose forward David Heron, beautiful ball out here. McGowan supported well. That really is a great try. But St Helens will pay the price for going high. Fox started it off. Fairbank goes in. There you see, no one going low. His progress is not stopped. He tries again, does Ward, but to no avail. Good support by the loose forward. And equally so, the centre, McGowan. Great start for Bradford and fully deserved.
Bradford Northern then have the first points of the afternoon. They have 4, and now they have 6, courtesy of Derek Fox. His 18th goal of the season. St Helens 0, the leaders in trouble against Bradford 6.
Let it come through now. Let's just look at it. And just hold it there. That's the problem. There are 2 players, no one going low. Fairbank goes through. The gap is produced. And St Helens suffer for it. Look at that gap. Excellent play.
Confirmation that Bradford hold a 6-point advantage. 11 minutes gone in this first half. Watson carrying the ball out past the 10-metre mark for Bradford. Powell now. Great start for Northern, second in the table. Ball comes free, but the referee said, I think it went backwards.
Well, I think he caught it again, Eddie. But once again, that try was scored with something that we saw a few weeks ago on Sky TV. When Bradford, their support player, is second to none at the moment.
Fox. Summers. They came in here to Knowsley Road, about an hour and a half ago, and they really looked supremely confident, the Bradford Northern players. Confident because after an opening day defeat, they have gone through the season unbeaten in the big league. And they know that they are Yorkshire's main hope at the moment.
Well, this is going to be their day of reckoning, wasn't it? If they can really put the cleaners through St Helens, they have to be there in with a big challenge.
The name Fox, synonymous with success at Bradford Northern, isn't it? Peter Fox, their coach, and now Derek Fox, who's been brought in here to do a job. And must be said, Mike, what a job the little scrum half is doing. There he is, tackling one of the tallest men in the game, Jonathan Neal.
Well, he's a springboard, isn't he? Everything will be evolved around him, not only in defence but in attack. A great kicking game.
And there is Peter Fox. One or two people cruelly say he might be a spent force in the game, but look at the First Division table. Bradford are second, and at the moment, if they maintain this 6-0 advantage and go on even better, they'll be top tonight. Anderson can do nothing with that little chip forward from O'Donnell.
Nice kick by the halfback O'Donnell. Positioned it well. Anderson realised he'd no chance to cut it off.
Such enthusiasm from the little scrum half. He tried desperately to play from the start against his old club Wigan in the Lancashire Cup final, so much so he cut a plaster off his injured arm against doctor's advice, but it looks like it might have paid off. He's got his place back here at St Helens. McCracken in quickly on David Watson. This is better from St Helens. McCracken leading the way, forces them back behind their own post. McGowan just couldn't get out of trouble, although he tried to give Summers a bit of help.
Well, if you want to lead by example, this is it. That man in your picture, the Kiwi McCracken, 2 tackles, great stuff.
Short-term contract deal from Canterbury Bankstown. Will depart early in the new year, probably the end of February. But Alan Hunt is one of the stalwarts here for the future for St Helens, and so is this fellow Kevin Ward. Saints have been stung into action by that try. Here's Dwyer. Cooper, the dummy half. O'Donnell and now Griffiths. Rapati is there. Watched all the way, though. Good tackling by Darryl Shelford.
Oh, that was an excellent tackle by Shelford. He took ball and all.
McCracken running strongly. His head went back. It was high. Heron and Hobbs were in there. David Hobbs says, OK, it was high. And it was, oh dear.
Well, it's all right, the referee saying it to him. That was a vicious one. You can see the pain in McCracken's face there. It's all right just nodding your head at the referee saying, oh, well, you've caught me. You said earlier, Eddie, that these referees in this country anyway are starting to give away penalties. I think it's about time now that those little cards that they have in their back pocket started to get rid of the moths.
McCracken receiving treatment to a bloody nose from the St Helens physio, Jeanette Smith, trying to stem the flow. Well, he takes a swig of the water. This is Dwyer again. He hits the post and goes in. Bernard Dwyer this time gets the sights in. Tremendous kick from the penalty. Right side for the left-footed kicker, that. 6-2. And that is his 23rd of the season. Just a recap on the count for Bernard Dwyer. In back play, meanwhile, David Heron's been receiving treatment, obviously to an arm injury by the looks of things. But it's 6-2. Rapati. What a season this fella's having. Such strength, such speed, the ability to unload in the tackle. Here's Cooper.
They see the importance of a quick play of the ball. St Helens are bringing it upfield now. They really are making those metres.
Dwyer, Cooper, Ward. Cooper again. This is Jonathan Neal. Bradford, though, doing the tackling well, keeping St Helens penned back in their own half. O'Donnell has to kick to relieve the pressure. Underneath it is Watson. That's a better take from the fullback.
A better take indeed, but it was a wasted kick there. Right down his throat. St Helens coach Mike McLennan won't be happy with that.
Powell stopped by those three right on halfway. 4-2 on the penalty count. 6-2 on the scoreboard in Bradford's favour. Hobbs bursting through one challenge, unloading the ball, and Furbank just couldn't cling on to it.
Well, to be fair to Hobbs and Bradford, they really do try to keep this ball alive. I mentioned earlier that they are the best support team in the forwards, at least. That was a really rushed effort. They really shouldn't have forced that pass, though.
Griffiths on a run. Griffiths showing a bit of strength. Hauled down in the end by Summers and McGowan. Cooper. It's a very shallow five that Mr. Whitfield is keeping today, as the tall figure of Jonathan Neal bounces up off the field. Well, it is shallow, but it's over 5, isn't it? Let's be fair. Forber and Rapati out to Sullivan. Seven handling errors. Cooper and Ward. It's the last one.
Bradford defence keeping a watchful eye on Ward. They realise his danger.
Thought O'Donnell was heading for a little attempt at a drop goal there. Instead of that, he's hoisted the bomb. Watson's dropped it. Oh, he's made a hash of it as the full-back. 6 to go for St Helens. The 10 metres away. Here's the big man, Neil. Could be a very costly error by David Watson, that. Ward in possession. Unloads to Dwyer. St Helens must spread it. Must give it some air. Dwyer drops the ball.
Well, I can't understand why this wasn't play on. The ball was picked up there. Hamer it was. What's wrong with play on?
Here's the big mistake from the fullback, David Watson. Oh, he looked like a man who's a little bit out of touch, didn't he? It's his first match this for 3 months. Here he is again. Does better this time in bringing Shelford into it. Not usually a fullback, of course, David Watson. Midway through this first half we are then, 6-2, Bradford Northern ahead.
If he makes another mistake like that, I don't think he'll be a fullback for much longer either.
Noble running strongly from dummy half. Brian Noble, interesting character, 11 caps, 1984 Lions skipper. Here's a former Lion too in Roy Powell. Powell going all the way. Oh, what a rich vein of form Roy Powell's in just at the moment. Fox and Watson trying to make amends. Watson, he's found McGowan again. Oh, McGowan, the second try for Bradford. Watson makes amends for the earlier error that almost threatened the Bradford Northern lead, and McGowan's come up with his second try.
Well, the Stones Bit of Championship replay will show Fox spin the ball out wide, and it's Watson, the fullback, that throws the dummy and then spins it back inside. Good call there by McGowan. You can see the St Helens defence. They've just given up. It all came about from that wonderful run from Powell. He really did stretch out for 50 metres. Nice long ball. Now you see the dummy from Watson. Comes back inside. And where is the defence? They're going one way. There's no sliding defence to cover. And that is a good try.
Here's the run that led to the try. Heron, the man in possession, and he fed Powell. And what a time Roy Powell is having in this Bradford Northern setup.
Oh, wonderful pass there from Heron. He really did suck in Paul Forber, the second row.
Fox with the conversion attempt. Fox successfully. That's 12 points to 2 in Bradford Northern's favour.
Let's just see how we push the ball across. You'll see Watson get it. Let's pull it back inside, keep it going. Let's stop it there. Look at the gap. These fellas have not come across and covered, and that's why the try was scored.
Well, the referee has just called time off for a moment and is having a word with Gerald Caudle and Steve McGowan. He's had words with them, made his point, whatever it was. Calls time back on, and away we go. But Bradford Northern, 12 points to 2, that's their advantage. Some people perhaps shaking their head, scratching their head to see them second in the table, Mike, but on the evidence of the first, 22 minutes here at Nosey Road, they are real championship contenders.
And my word, a lot of people criticise Peter Fox. They say he's from the old school, and they do play simple, basic football. Backing up the man with the ball, keep going, neat little passes like we saw David Heron put Powell through, and it's working.
And he has got the little general operating for him in midfield with Derek Fox. He's the man who's just found David Watson. Noble, the acting halfback. Here's Fox again. Amazing the number of times that Derek Fox handles or kicks the football during the course of a match. Involved in everything. £140,000, a lot of money, but an astute signing nonetheless.
It looks like money well spent so far, doesn't it? These forwards are really crunching in. St Helens are taking a little bit of a slow step here. They're not too eager to come at this Bradford defence.
Dwyer, the acting halfback. O'Donnell and Ward. Ward unloads again straight into the arms of Heron. Well, they're committing Harry Carey at the moment. The league leaders struggling to refine their form of the opening part of the season.
Well, there you see, that was a planned move. Ward was looking for the support play. It wasn't there.
Unbeaten in the big league. A fortnight ago, they lost the Lancashire Cup final to, of all clubs, Wigan. I wonder whether that does have a psychological disadvantage as far as St Helens are concerned.
Well, it could do when you're down 12-2 in this game. One of the guys could be thinking, oh, it's not going to be our day again. They really have got to sort themselves out quickly.
That was good play by Furbank. He was being forced back, just tipped the ball back inside, and this is the reason why we have this action going on at the moment with Powell. St Helens really can't bring Bradford Northern to ground at the moment. Crowd begin to get behind them. Hobbs just dabs it forward. Who's onto it first? Shelford is. But knock on is the referee's verdict.
Unfortunate there. It was a nice little kick by the man in your picture, Hobbs. Pushes it right through. Now it comes off a St Helens player. Now I don't think that should have been play on. That was accidental. Now if Shelford would have gone to that ball, that should not have been play on.
Griffiths. McCracken. Still going McCracken. Expecting so much of him here at Nosey Road. But he's been hauled into touch. That's tremendous defence from Bradford.
That is committed defence. They just keep going, sweeping through. They keep saying they're not the fastest pack in the world. But I tell you something, Eddie, they keep going, and that man in the picture knows only too well.
He lost it on the first tackle, did McCracken, when he was pushed into touch. Watson. McGowan. I rather fancy that Mike McLennan will be roasting his players in the dressing room at half-time, but we've still a long way to go to the half-time break, almost a quarter of an hour. Bradford Northern in the box seat and playing very well with Fox and Powell.
Very simple and basic football that they produce, but I tell you what, it is effective.
Watson. It's quite a performance, this, from Bradford Northern, when you consider that of 18 matches in the First Division since 1973, Saints have won 16 here at Knowsley Road.
Well, that was a misplaced kick there by Derek Fox. He wanted to come across the face of the goalpost. The Bradford left-hand side was really beaming down there. Didn't get the distance.
This is Griffiths. And now it's Rapati. Cooper and Ward. Great run from Ward. Great pass from Cooper. Well picked up by McCracken. Through one, not through two. McCracken brings the crowd to its feet. O'Donnell, Griffiths, Rapati. Oh, Rapati maybe should have gone on his own.
Well, I couldn't believe that Rapati had made the break. The gap appeared. And really, I thought he should have tried to go around Powell. But sensational football, but good defence, scrambling defence by Bradford Northern, especially the tackle by Neil Summers.
Watson coming into it more and more, David Watson. Fox. Heron. Good support play again, this time from Summers. Dwyer. And Jonathan Neal bringing him down. Hamer running strongly. McGowan on a hat-trick.
The Bradford players are always looking to back up the man with the ball.
Hobbs and Fox again. This is Shelford. Bradford Northern have not won here at St Helens since 1986. They're 12 points to 2 ahead in this first half. And Fox has hoisted the bomb. It's coming down. Hunt has it.
Magnificent take there by Alan Hunt. Twisted his body, made sure that he protected himself from the defenders coming at him.
There's Mike McLennan just watching from the clubhouse here at Knowsley Road through a pane of glass. He's not happy by the looks of his face, is he? Because his team that is top of the table is being stifled out of it by Bradford at the moment.
Kevin Ward is down injured. He took a bad knock when he got that ball away.
Griffiths. Watson collects it. Now Caudle. Had a super game when we last saw Caudle in the match against Warrington, but Kevin Ward with the smelling salts. Still being treated. Heavy, crunching tackle. This is Summers. Fox. And David Heron. Moved just up the road to Odsal from Headingley after those 16 years at Leeds. Another former Leeds player who really is enjoying a new lease of life. Fox.
That's a great kick downfield, right into the corner.
And they've all arrived too, led there by Fox. A real crunching tackle. Burbank and Noble on Hunt. St Helens' big pack of forwards being out-muscled here.
Well, they certainly know they're going to be in a game of football. There's no love lost between the packs.
Half an hour gone, 12-2. Bradford still hold sway. With Ward, he gets one away this time to Dwyer. Dwyer finds O'Donnell. And it had to be a good tackle, and it was from David Heron that stopped O'Donnell. Griffiths with a little chip over the top, straight down the throat of Gerald Caudle.
Good position by the Bradford winger there. Anticipated that the kick would be coming over. Came in off his wing, and it paid off for him. There's a replay. Good positioning there by Caudle.
Heron again. Now Fairbank and McGowan. Ooh, Paul Forber a little overzealous with that challenge. Referee Whitfield lets it go. Powell unloads well. The men are in support. This is Anderson. He's got McCracken round him. McGowan. Fox. Heron. Hobbs. Quick hands. Incisive play. Hobbs on the run. Support is there from Summers. Inside to McGowan. Hat-trick for McGowan. Magnificent play. Bradford Northern have cut St Helens to ribbon.
The Stones Better Championship replay will show a wonderful run by David Hobbs. But it's all about keeping the ball alive. David Heron, another lovely pass. It was the dummy, and Tia Rapati took it. Summers back on the inside. And who's there? The man that looks like a 9-iron with ears. McGowan in for his third. Tremendous play. It's basic, it's simple. Just keep the man coming to you. There you see the gap. It was Heron who brought in Cooper again. Rapati took the dummy. It's all about running at angles as well, which this man, Neil Summers, does. And that is a great try. Fully deserved.
McGowan was injured as he touched down, but he doesn't want to go off. He got a bang on the head. He's having a drink of the magic water. He scored the hat-trick of tries. Scored 2 here in the Regal Trophy when Bradford went down to defeat again at Knowsley Road last season. But Derek Fox now, from right in front, gives us an unbelievable scoreline. St Helens, the league leaders, 2. Bradford Northern, 18. What a start for Bradford. Who would have predicted this? St Helens, shell-shocked. Their supporters on the terraces, silenced by this onslaught from Bradford Northern. Some match, if they're going to maintain their 100% record, this will be for them, Mike. what a comeback they will have to put on in the second half.
My word, they realise they're in a football game, and another break is coming.
That was Hamer, he finds Summers.
They're just splitting them apart, especially around the rucks.
They're swarming over them. Powell. The St Helens players' ears will be ringing at half-time.
Well, who would have thought it, Eddie? A couple of weeks ago, St Helens were boasting of winning with one of the best defences. They really had a solid one line of defence. Well, it's looking like a dog's back leg at the moment.
They're starting to plod St Helens, aren't they? And a mistake from Forber.
Now, why on earth was Forber in there? This was supposed to be a link for the 3 quarters. It should have gone to Jonathan Griffiths. Sometimes what fans say about forwards is true.
So yet more pressure for St Helens. Heron to Summers. They're running straight, they're running strong, they're running true, and they're passing the ball well. You can't fault Bradford so far. Hamer.
But you have to fault the St Helens defence. They're not moving up, they're hanging back. They don't know what's happening out there. Different angles, different switches, good support play. It's basic, but by golly, it's great.
Noble's the dummy half. Fox and Heron. Fox again. Well, another try now for Bradford. And it could be all over. Watson. McGowan. St Helens, as you say, Mike, hanging off, allowing Bradford to pick up pace and choose their options.
They just look mesmerised. They don't know what's happening next.
Last tackle. Fox with a drop goal attempt. Well, that increases the lead still further. Derek Fox with his first drop goal of the season.
Well taken. That is confidence personified. Plenty of time. The St Helens defence was too late.
Not only his first drop goal of the season, but his first one-pointer in Bradford Northern's colours. 19-2. The gap now 17 points. That's 3 converted tries, plus a little bit more.
That's the reason why Fox added that extra 1 point. He's the brains of the outfit. That's why they paid so much money for him.
Here he is again. Hobbs. Well, the rest of the country will have to sit up and take notice now, no matter what happens today after this first half display. Look at the support, and that was high from McCracken on Carl Burbank.
I think that might have been a bit of a square up, that one. But David Heron is just absolutely ripping this St Helens defence apart. In and around the rucks at the play of the ball, St Helens are just non-existent. And deservedly getting a little bit of a talking to by the referee, Robin Whitfield. Now this is where St Helens have to draw on their composure and their skill. If they lose their composure now, everything will go out of the window. They have to hold on until the half-time break so that their coach can maybe get them back into some order.
Had disruption to their plans, of course, with the flu bug that took out Chris Joint this morning. Sonny Nichols on the bench, he has a touch of it as well. It has meant 1 or 2 problems for Mike McLennan. But you can take nothing away from Bradford Northern. They have played superbly. And Heron and Fox, and McGowan particularly with the hat-trick, they're running the show. Here's Shelford. He's bouncing off the tacklers. What has happened to St Helens?
They're shell-shocked, and Bradford, full credit to them. This is really enterprising football. Lovely to watch.
Sullivan. Oh, well, he was trying to run through Bernard Dwyer then. That really, I suppose, is a measure of just how much in disarray St Helens are at the minute. And Paul Medley is waiting to be introduced by Peter Fox. And the number who will be coming off, remarkably, is Steve McGowan, who has already scored a hat-trick. Penalty, meanwhile, to St Helens, stealing the ball in the tackle. Bradford want to make the substitution. Robin Whitfield has not seen the touch judge. Oh, Jonathan Griffiths was lucky to get away with that, but he's shown a little bit of quick thinking, and he's on the charge. Griffiths, he's got support from Cooper. Cooper showed it to Sullivan, and then turned the ball back inside, and luckily for Saints, Sullivan got to it first.
Well, really, I thought Cooper should have taken the first option and given it to Sullivan. They took the gamble on that one, but what a great run by Jonathan Griffiths.
Here he is again, Griffiths. He's over for the try, is he? No, he's held up. Held up on his back. He couldn't touch it down. Saints so close.
Oh, after that great run, he tries to get through. Well, I don't know. That's one that'll be debating.
The half-time siren has sounded, though. And what a remarkable half-time situation we have got here. St Helens 2, Bradford Northern 19. The league leaders in real danger of coming tumbling down, and Bradford Northern have taken the game to St Helens, and it has really paid off. That's the situation at half-time in the big league here at Nosey Road. St Helens 2, just the Bernard Dwyer goal, and Bradford 19. 3 tries for McGowan, and Derek Fox with the goal kicking. Some facts from that first half. Scrums 4-3 in Bradford's favour, penalties just going St Helens' way, and both sides have made plenty of handling errors, but Bradford Northern have scored the tries, and they have got themselves into an excellent position here. Derek Fox, scrum half, instrumental in so much that is good about Northern these days, gets the game underway. The big question now is, can St Helens fight back, and can they maintain their 100% record?
They really have to put points on the board very quickly. They could have done with that try that was disallowed seconds before the half-time break.
19-2, the advantage for Bradford Northern. Mathematicians amongst you might have realised that Mike and I aren't too clever on figures. It is 3 converted tries, and that's a forward pass. And while they do that, Saints are going to get no converted tries.
That really should never have been on. Jonathan Griffiths should have realised that Tia Rapati was well in front of him.
It was Griffiths' forward pass. Fox has the possession from the scrum. This is Watson. Bounced away from Griffiths. A high tackle from the Welshman. Play the ball to himself because there was no marker in front of him.
Well, after a shaky start from the Bradford Northern fullback Watson, he certainly has injected himself into this game.
Hobbs being forced back. That's better tackling from St Helens. I understand, by the way, Mike, the flames have just been put out in the St Helens dressing room. Mike McLennan has read Saints the riot act. And
why not? Especially with the defence round the rucks. It was deplorable in the first 40 minutes.
Here's Fox again for Bradford. Just slants the ball towards the touchline on the far side. Quirk has to pick it up. It was a tantalising little kick from Fox, that. Such confidence in the Bradford side. St Helens, they came into the game, of course, with their confidence sky high too. But it's Bradford who have shown all the invention. But can St Helens come back in this second half? Griffiths. For mine, Mike, they're playing a bit too much football near their own line, St Helens, and they're not doing it in the opposition half of the field.
Well, they haven't really been able to get into that position because the chances are that when they get there, they're knocking on or making a mistake on the second and third tackles.
Hunt with the relieving kick downfield. One of 2 bounces. Watson collects it. And Helens moving up to cut his options down. Out of the back door to Fox, then to Summers. Now Caudle. Caudle fancies a run at Sullivan. And Caudle didn't like the challenge from Anthony Sullivan. Play continues with Watson. Again out to Fox. Hobbs is there, wrapped up by McCracken. Support play, though. That is what it's all about for Bradford. This is Anderson. Support arrives again from Shelford.
Leave it, play the ball.
There's always someone on hand, isn't there? Bradford just keep this ball alive. It's very pretty to watch. But I'm afraid the St. Helens defence is being stretched to the limit again.
Powell.
They saw it again. If they throw a dummy Bradford, the St. Helens defence just stops. They're mesmerised.
Hobbs. A kick for Caudle to chase. Hunt reads it and collects it well. Tries to use his pace but can't get away from Neil Summers. Ward received the ball though as he was standing still, which is not the way to bring Kevin Ward into the play, is it? Needs to be motoring, but he hasn't motored so far today. Forbat. And Bradford get the ball back at the play the ball.
That was a disgraceful attempt there by Forbat.
Watson hauled down by Cooper.
That was a total lack of discipline there.
Bounced off Noble, and the referee says it's 6 more to go. St. Helens' boot got in there as well. 6 more for Bradford, and they're 10 metres short. Powell. Fox tried to duck under the challenge that was hurtling towards him from O'Donnell. Lost it.
Well, the pressure applied there. There you can see it. Gus O'Donnell put the pressure. Fox knocking on. That's something that St. Helens didn't do in the first half.
Sonny Nicol is coming on for St. Helens, and it's Paul Forber who comes on.
And that doesn't surprise me, Eddie. The attempt that he tried to play that ball would have been enough to send any coach round the bend.
So Nicol takes his place in the scrum. He has a touch of the flu that's sweeping through the St. Helens dressing room at the moment. And they've more than caught a cold out here on the field, the Saints, haven't they? 19-2. Bradford still have the advantage. Ball drops. Bradford have it back. Oh no, it's, well, referee Robin Whitfield, I think, says it was on the 6th tackle. Knock on is his decision, and now he's given a scrum. Well, there we are.
Bradford head and feet. Well, you say about catching a cold, I think it was a bit more like pneumonia. And throwing bronchitis as well.
Long pass. Watson. Anderson is there. Anderson cuts in field. Short, Bradford Northern. Summers. Forward pass, and Helens supporters scream. Referee and touch judge unimpressed. Shelford has it for Northern. Now Noble and Fox. Fairbank. Supporting act is there from McGowan. Heron. Better tackling from St. Helens. Hobbs. It's 19-2, 6 minutes of this second half gone. Fox. Fairbank. Shrugged away. Cooper got it to Hamer. He found Fox, who in turn has found Powell. Powell in back inside for Fox, and Fox touches down. Derek Fox started that. He created it, and he finished it. Derek Fox's second try in Bradford's colours. How important this might be.
Well, the Stones bit of championship replay saw Fox started off. There's Powell. It's getting a little bit more like touch pass now. No one wants to tackle. Here you see Fox, little ball. Now they've passed the ball about 8 times, Bradford, before you see this replay. Hamer gets it away. Powell looks at it. No one wants to go low. He still has the strength. So has this fellow. Well, I've seen them given and I've seen them not given. But this time, this fellow was given the benefit of the doubt.
He adds the extra two. Derek Fox. It's a stunner here at Knowsley Road.
Just look how they've kept this ball alive. Just stop it there. That's the gap that's coming through because St. Helens are holding back. They're not going low in the tackles.
25 points to 2. Bradford Northern ahead. 8 minutes of this second half gone. You could have won a lot of money on the coupon if you'd have picked this scoreline, Mike.
I think we'd both retire, Eddie. We saw last Friday that the Wigan crowd was stunned with the display by the Brisbane Broncos. Well, the St. Helens fans having to go through the same treatment.
Phil Vivers, meanwhile, is preparing to come on. The Australian who's figured in all but 2 of the Saints games so far this season. And it's going to be John Harrison who comes off. Meanwhile, Derek Fox weaving a bit more magic this time with the boot.
Well, it's a time where St. Helens have to start experimenting. Quite frankly, Gus O'Donnell hasn't been the strong force that we've seen in the start of the season. And perhaps a move from Tirapati into the action a bit more, bring him out of the centres. He's a danger man when he's ever in possession of the football.
A real shove at the base of the scrum by Bradford, but they couldn't get it. O'Donnell, probably the smallest man on the field, came out from that mountain of bodies with it and given it to Hunt. With a scoreline like this, though, 25-2, and still the majority of this second half to go, you have got to now start taking Bradford Northern seriously.
Well, I think a lot of teams have realised that Bradford were just rolling along nice and steady. They realised that they'd bought Derek Fox. They said that their forwards were too slow and too old.
This is the last tackle. They look anything but too slow and too old here today. And they've got Watson, who's just come back from that 3-month ban. He really has bolstered the squad. Started a bit shakily, but he's coming more and more into the picture, isn't he? Managed to release the ball to Foxton Powell. Supporting act arrives from Noble. Smart play from Bradford.
This is turning the clock back, Eddie. This is vintage, old-fashioned rugby league at its best.
And Saints have got no answer to it. Look at the men in support. It's Hamer now, and this is Anderson, and that's Fox. And wonderful play from Bradford. Good old-fashioned British rugby league. The big smile says it all for Derek Fox. His second try of this second half.
Stone's bit of championship replay will show Fox started inside there. Fairbank, then onto this fella Hamer. Backed up there. Wonderful play by Shelford, and the man who started it finishes it off, and rightly so, has a big grin all over his face. Keep an eye out for the St. Helens defence if you can see it, because you can see they're running at 6s and 7s, trying to go low, no one stopping. Support. Eventually you run out of defenders, and that is what occurs. Look at it from the top angle. See the switches of play. Look at it run through there. Let's just hold it there. You can see how they've built it across. Moving through, wonderful play, great support stuff. You know, Eddie, that really does bring a cheer to my heart. Good old-fashioned rugby league.
Derek Fox, 2 tries. Been deadly with the goal kicking too. It will be 19 points if he kicks this. It's 19 points personally for Derek Fox. And just watch this pass here from Roy Powell. Look, he looked as though he'd gone down the blind alley. There was nothing on for him. Fox suddenly appears and he clung onto it, juggled with it a little bit, and of course the result was the try. 31 points to 2. Bradford Northern are having a field day.
Well, they talk about game plans, match plans. Bradford Northern this season, all they do is go out and play rugby league football as it should be done, supporting the man in possession of the football.
Well, Phil Beavers has just come on the field, but he's now just gone off. He got an injury to his knee. He'd been on about 5 minutes, that's all. And John Harrison has had to return to the fray.
Well, I suppose when you got the lead of 31 points to 2, you can afford to start and just keep doing what they have done so well.
This will be their best win here at Nosey Road for years and years. Hunt, because victory it surely will be now for Bradford. St Helens, the league leaders, 100% record. It's in tatters at the moment. Sonny Nicol tries to go round Fox, who ankle tapped him. And the tackle completed. Anderson is limping away. He was injured in the movement leading up to the Derek Fox try a few moments ago. This is Rapati. Rapati running straight. Bradford so far ahead, but trying desperately to keep out Saints. Hunt's in. Alan Hunt with the try. At last, St Helens show something.
Well, they never played the ball, St Helens, and got away with it. The Stones Bit of Championship replay, ball out wide. Nice dummy here by Alan Hunt. Very good play indeed. But you can see that was never played, the ball, it just came clear. But they took advantage of it. They threw the dummy out wide. Summers couldn't get to him. We saw that Gerald Caudle took the dummy. You can see it here. Just slips out. That's not a play of the ball at all. And St Helens were lucky to get away with it. Hunt takes advantage. Is this going to be the greatest comeback for many years? Let's wait and see.
13 tries then for Alan Hunt. Bernard Dwyer with the attempted conversion. It's just swinging away from the post. So 31-6, a quarter of an hour gone in the second half. And Paul Medley is coming on, and Tony Anderson is going off. Anderson limping away, injured as Derek Fox went over for his second try. Medley now will go onto the wing to take his place. Well, who'd have thought it, Mike? Who'd have thought 31 points for Bradford Northern and only 6 for St Helens before the start of play? The people at Odsal, no doubt.
Well, the faithful fans that have travelled over the Pennines, they certainly can believe it. They had faith, but more to the point, the Bradford players have faith in each other, and that's the reason why they are so far in front. It has been an exceptional performance by them.
Dwyer's the acting halfback, Cooper, Griffiths, Rapati. Saints really have played the majority of the football in their own half of the field. They've not been able to break through at all, have they?
No, it's been a very strong defence. They move out wide very quickly, trying to force St Helens down the middle and into errors, and that's what has occurred.
Lonely Wigan beat St Helens in the first division here last season. But this looks to me like it's going to be their first defeat of this new campaign.
Well, Gus O'Donnell trying something different. Full credit to him there, but a little bit at a loss. Handover after he was tackled.
Penalty Bradford, swinging arm in the tackle. Two forwards, Harrison and Neal, both there with the swinging arm. There's one, there's two.
Yes, they caught him, both of them, didn't they? Especially Jonathan Neal. Lack of composure, little bit of frustration coming into it. And at 31 points to 6, rightly so, Bradford will slow things down, take the option of this long-range kick.
Well, remember what he did at Warrington when last we saw Bradford Northern on Sky Sports. He's got 5 out of 5 so far with the boot. 19 points the personal tally, and he kicked one from right on the halfway line, right from the centre spot at Warrington just a few weeks ago. It's 5 from 6. The ball goes dead. He obviously fancies his chances, a man in supremely confident form, but the important thing is that Saints now must drop out from their own quarter line and Bradford have the ball back. They haven't won here since 1986. A long time between drinks, as you say in Australia.
It's been a tremendous performance, and full credit to them. The forwards really have gone at the St. Helens defence. They've backed each other up.
Here they come again. Ball in field, collision between Hunt and David Heron. It was a forward pass anyway, I think the referees ruled.
Well, this was a bad collision. Heron really did catch it there, the shoulder going in. Just he was reaching out for the ball. But Carl Fairbank, lovely break again. He's had a top game. There we see once again St. Helens only realising until it's too late that you can't stop a man unless you go for his legs.
David Heron is obviously badly hurt. Here's the incident again, a clear forward pass. Heron bravely onto it. Well, he's walking off, that's the important thing. Obviously has twisted a knee or twisted the ankle.
Well, he's done his job, Eddie. David Heron, the loose forward. Some superb little passes, especially in the first 40 minutes. He's controlled things out there amongst the forwards.
So Trevor Clark will come on to replace him. Big game from David Heron. Seems okay, the 34-year-old. Won 2 caps 10 years ago against the Australians in 1982, David Heron. Been around a long time. Loving his rugby league now at Bradford. And they'll go top of the table with this win at Bradford Northern. It's their biggest score against St. Helens since the war.
And there we see the type of tackling that's confused St. Helens all day.
Oh, Donald took his eye off the ball. Well, it's just really a question, Mike. If things don't go for you, they don't go, do they?
It can be that way, but as you mentioned, Eddie, he was looking towards where he was about to pass before accepting the football.
I'm sure Mike McLennan won't put it down to experience. Here's McGowan and Caudle trying to run through Cooper. Bradford are certainly not finished yet. 31-6, it might be. Powell. Remember this fellow, Powell has scored in the last 3 games. He's run in 4 tries, so the day when they're running in points like this, Powell will want to increase his own personal tally. We're midway through this second half. Netley took his eye off the ball, surrendered the possession back.
Well, even though he dropped the ball, you could see quite clearly that the St. Helens defence had not moved up. They've been cut to ribbons around the play the ball area.
This is Jonathan Neal. Dwyer's the dummy half. Nicol is the runner. Drops it. It's been the story of St. Helens' day. Summers. Watson. Hobbs. Remarkable too, you know, when you think that last season Bradford Northern so nearly slipped into the 2nd division. They were so close to the big drop, and now they're top of the table tonight.
And fully deserve it with this performance.
Support arrives again. Referee says play on. That was untidy, and the St. Helens man, Sonny Nicol, cleaned it all up. But the touch judge is on the far side. Flags up. Wants a word with referee Robin Whitfield. and he saw something. Penalty, Saints.
Well, it's important for St. Helens not to throw the towel in. Looks as though there was an elbow involved there as he came down. No, I think he threw a little bit of a... There he goes. He goes down, roughing him up with his elbow. They've got to try to build confidence. St. Helens realise they've still got plenty of stars out there, plenty of skill.
Here's one of them, McCracken. But they have watched him perfectly, haven't they, Bradford? And here's another of the stars too, Rapati, who's had a quiet game. In fact, all the St. Helens players have had quiet afternoons. Penalty, St. Helens. Needless to say, they're going to run it.
Now, we saw the last time when Bradford played Warrington that they tired late in the game.
McCracken.
Are we going to see the same thing?
Cooper finds Rapati. Rapati shrugging them off. And he's into touch. Forced out wide.
Good defence there. You see Hobbs coming through. Look at Hobbs coming through. That was a weight that did it.
So, St. Helens 6, Bradford Northern 31. Fox feeding the scrum. 6:31 in his team's favour. Watson in possession. With a smile at Jared McCracken. Bradford will certainly be smiling all the way back across the Pennines tonight. Medley. And Griffiths eventually gets to him at the third attempt, I think that was. Fox plants the ball in the St. Helens quarter. And Bradford are hurtling down the field to cut down Alan Hunt's options.
What a great kick by Fox. He saw that Alan Hunt was well up, out of his position, took advantage of it, and now St. Helens, as they've done for most of the game, having to struggle to get out of their own quarter.
Well, Bradford Northern, they won the title twice at the start of the 80s under Peter Fox. Consecutive years, 80 and 81. I just wonder whether Peter Fox will believe after this performance here tonight that his team is in shape to repeat the feat.
Well, if they keep supporting the man with the ball like they have today, they're going to take some stopping.
There's nearly 10,000 people here at Knowsley Road who will take some convincing they're not genuine championship contenders.
Well, another mistake, the ball going behind McCracken. Wasn't the best of passes by John Harrison. But McCracken, in your picture there, you certainly know he's been in a very tough game indeed. Bradford don't just come in and tackle you, they come in and crunch you.
Fox with the possession from the scrum. This is Trevor Clark. And the Bradford scrum standoff half, Neil Summers, is in the blood bin at the moment, and David Heron, I'm happy to report, is fit enough to come back onto the field of play and take his place. But here's another try. It's easy for Burbank. It's so easy. The big smiles on the face of the big men of Northern tell their own story.
The Stones Bitter Championship replay will show, now you see it, now you don't. That was a beautiful pass by the fullback Dave Watson, and Fairbank, who's had a cracking game. Look at that. That is just pulling the defence towards you. Fully deserved this try. He knew he had the speed and the strength to go round Alan Hunt. The look of the eyes, thank you. Beautiful pass here. See how the defence holds off. They're not moving forward. They haven't done that all day, St. Helens. and that is the reason why that try was scored. Excellent stuff.
Excellent stuff, and so easy. Simple. Carl Fairbank, 1992 Lion. He was a tourist in 1988 and 1992. And Fox misses with that conversion attempt.
Let's just see how easy it was. There comes the fullback holding it through. Stop it there. Drags in two players instead of one. The gap appears. Fairbank smiles, races away 8 meters to score a great try.
35-6. St Helens, the league leaders, have really been brought down a peg or two here today.
It's shown up a lot of their problems in defence. Something has gone radically wrong within a space of a fortnight.
I wonder if it is all the reorganisation that Mike McLennan had to do before the game got going because of the flu that is in this St Helens camp at the minute.
Well, I certainly wouldn't enter into that one, because as far as I'm concerned, St Helens just didn't look like as though they wanted to win this game. Bradford.
Super kick here, by the way, Mike, from Derek Fox. Look at it. Punishing kick.
He's a talented player. They said that he was finished. Well, look at the scoreboard and look at the way that he's played. He's controlled things. He's far from finished.
It's Griffiths now for St Helens. Lost cause for them. But 12 minutes of the game remain. But Bradford with such a big lead, 35-6. They won't be denied. But as far as St Helens are concerned, perhaps they can take some comfort from the fact that they still have the game in hand over Northern, up there at the top, as a result of that Lancashire Cup final. But half an hour of this second half gone, 10 to play. Bradford Northern coasting towards a remarkable, a superb win.
They saw the difference again. Bradford moving forward. They've cut down the St Helens forwards very, very well. In fact, it's a long time since I've seen St Helens create the link out wide for their three quarters.
Something's happened, as you say, Mike, in the last 2 weeks since they were turned over by Wigan. The people of Yorkshire, of course, will tell us that as far as they're concerned, this is no surprise. It's not a remarkable win. The Bradford Northern are a very, very good side.
And not just the fact that they've won easy, it's the fact that how they've won. They've gone about it. I know we keep saying old-fashioned football. A lot of people were screaming for that against the Australians, where we were always clever to be able to create and back up the man with the ball. Well, Bradford have done it, and they've shown that it can still exist in this modern day of football.
And they're still running strongly with McGowan. He's got a hat-trick, he wants 4, and Alan Hunt doesn't want to let him have 4. But Bradford are scything through the St Helens defence, almost at will. Fairbank, he's shaped then just to knock it over the top for Caudle. Sullivan had to come in and hack the ball dead. It's a long time since I've seen St Helens in such disarray.
Well, there's confidence for you when you get a second rower not noted for doing anything other than running and taking the ball up. He puts in a neat little kick. He's having the time of his life. He's made many gaps and then nearly scored a try by a little chip over.
It's certainly going to be St Helens' worst home defeat in over 2 years since the Kangaroos were here in 1990. That's the measure of Bradford's performance here this afternoon. The Australians on the tour of 1990. You may remember they began their tour in style here, 34 points to 4, but it's 35-6 to Bradford. So I'll tell you what, this is quite a performance from Bradford Northern today. Noble is the dummy half. This is Fox. And now Hobbs. McGowan couldn't quite get his fingertips to it. He knocked it on.
And the Bradford players, even though they're leading 35-6, Still showing the element of disgust. McGowan knowing that he had a chance to take that. But they haven't closed up shop, have they, Bradford? They still want more points.
Big shot from the Bradford pack again. St Helens have it, though, with Rapati. He's found McCracken. McCracken gives it to Les Quirk. Well, we've hardly seen Les Quirk all afternoon. We're going to see him now. He scores down the touchline and touches down. Try for Les Quirk, his third of the season. Second in successive matches. Scored in midweek in the Regal Trophy against Huddersfield.
Stone's bit of championship replay will show one of the few occasions that St Helens today has been able to get the link away. It was Rapati who'd come into the standoff position, gets the ball out wide. McCracken evades the tackle and sets it wide. One of the few times that Bradford have been sucked in. Despaired an attempt there by Medley, but it's to no avail. Quirk goes through, but I'm afraid it's far too late. Good run by the winger. Well-deserved try. See it again, head on. Nice pass from McCracken. Now let's just sit back and enjoy this wonderful run.
That's more like it from St Helens. Les Quirk with the try. While you're enjoying that head-on replay, Bernard Dwyer with the conversion, added the extra 2. It's now St Helens 12 and Bradford Northern 35, and just 6 or 7 minutes left for play. O'Donnell tried to chip over the top. Referee allows play to go on. O'Donnell is flattened. I think there's a suggestion that he was taken out as he chased the kick ahead. The referee is unimpressed. Fox and Watson. Noble, the dummy half, on the quarter line. This is Powell. Powell turning, looking for the supporting runners. Noble on his own from dummy half. It's the last tackle.
But look how easy it's been for Bradford to run from that dummy half position, or the first man out.
Fox. Hamer. Hobbs. Summers back out of the blood bin. Caudle. Big gap ahead of Caudle. Taken out Caudle. But it was on the last tackle. The referee says he wasn't taken out at all.
Well, Caudle. Oh, that was a bad collision there.
It's a chapter of errors for St Helens, isn't it? Look where they are, right underneath their own posts.
The Sonny Nicol that collided with Caudle, and he's limping about in the background. Just hasn't been St Helens' day.
I was just looking round then to see if Kevin Ward was still on the field, because Kevin Ward and McCracken, Rapati, the players who normally turn on the style for Saints, they've been almost anonymous, haven't they, today? There's Ward now. He is still there. I'm not just picking on those three, but St Helens have been totally, completely and utterly anonymous. I think that's the only way to describe them.
Well, it's only due to this defence, swarming defence by Bradford. They're moving very quickly.
Dwyer drops it. Oh, it's been that sort of day. Fox, there's space out wide for Medley. Medley playing as a winger. Normally he's a very quick forward. They're going on the blind side. Watson turns the ball back in field, and it was a last desperate attempt from McCracken that kept Darryl Shelford out. Fox to Furbank. Better tackling. Furbank and Cooper wrestling. Oh, and Furbank stood on Cooper. Here we go. Frustration time. And they all want to be involved.
Well, that's a sad finish to this game. It was a great tackle by Shane Cooper on Fairbank. It was fair. But Fairbank decided to come over and start planting tulips.
This is the way it started. There's the foot on the side of Cooper, who didn't like it, and he swung the left hook over that, well, Lennox Lewis or Razor Ruddock on that world title eliminator last night would have been proud of.
Well, certainly not Ruddock. He didn't throw one. Lewis, yes. But that was silly play by Fairbank. He could have played the ball quite easily.
And they're being cautioned by referee Whitfield, and they still want to have a go at each other. I don't think Fairbank quite agrees with Cooper's interpretation of that incident.
Well, Cooper's every right to be using the studs on the body. He's every right to be upset about it.
These two sides come face to face at Hodsall in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And, well, I wonder if there'll be a little bit of afters following on from that, because Cooper and Fairbank, well, they were not happy with each other, were they?
There'll be plenty of afters. It'll be 3 portions of rice pudding. It'll be a belter.
Forber has returned, by the way, for St Helens, and Sonny Nicol has gone off. So Sonny Nicol obviously out of sorts. Rapati's kick downfield, met by Watson, who since that first minute and the error, I was going to say has done all right, but he drops the ball. Oh well.
But that was a nothing kick there by Rapati. It was right down the throat of Watson. I know the game has gone, but surely they can be a little bit more constructive than that. There was no hope that they could get the ball back from that kick.
We're in the last minute here of normal time. It's 35-12 to Bradford Northern.
It's been a tremendous effort by Bradford. What a great team spirit they've got. They work for each other all the time.
Rapati at last with the run has found Quirk, and he's in the corner. Bradford perhaps tiring, but Rapati with a strong run down the touchline. Quirk was there in support, and Quirk gets his second try in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Consolation try and the Stones Bitter Championship replay. Nice play by Griffiths. Rapati was that evaded the tackle. Fox couldn't get through him. Good play by Quirk. He did the in and out there. Shelford just couldn't get across to him. That's a fine wingman's try. Little run round there. Griffiths, something we haven't seen. That's probably the first run round St Helens have used all day. It's in the last seconds. But watch how the centre is slowed down and then accelerated away. Confused Daryl Shelford. Good try.
Les Quirk's doubled his tally this afternoon for the season. Dwyer with the conversion attempt. Oh, he's kicked it off the touchline. Tremendous stuff from Bernard Dwyer. All to no avail, because Bradford Northern are about to record here their 7th successive victory in the big league. We're now in injury time. It's 35-18. Their season began poorly with a defeat at Hull by 24 points to 14. But since then, they have won 7 straight victories to claim their place at the top of the Stones Bitter Championship tonight. And after this, the message must be to the rest that they are serious contenders and they fancy their chances of getting Wigan's crown. St Helens are going to finish with a flourish. Hunt finds Sullivan, but the ball from Hunt was right up round Anthony Sullivan's ears. He didn't have a chance.
No, it wasn't the best pass from Hunt. But really so, he should still have taken that one. It really hasn't been St Helens' day. You must understand this Bradford defence has been swarming all day. Puts them under a lot of pressure.
Deep into injury time.
To be fair, Eddie, even I'm sure Bradford coach Peter Fox would realise he will never come up against a St Helens defensive side an effort like this each week in, week out. But they've taken advantage of it. They've worked hard for it, and full credit to them.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at Oxford, won't it, in 3 weeks' time when the corner